Man, I don't know if it's just me, but Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree just ain't it. Let's be real for a second. This matchup doesn't make much sense. I mean, first off, Khalil's only big win is against Anthony Smith, and ever since that victory, Khalil somehow shot up to the rankings. Specifically, I'm talking about number 8. Now he's suddenly in line for a potential title shot. It feels like someone just threw a dart at a board to decide this one. I mean, congrats on beating Smith, but that doesn't really fast track you to a title fight. It seems a little bit of a stretch, to be honest. The real issue is that no one was asking for this fight. Most of us in the MMA community were looking forward to see Pereira tested by someone like Magomed Ankalaev. Ankalaev is one of the best grapplers in the division, if not the best. That's the kind of challenge we were craving to see. We wanted to see how Pereira deals with an elite grappler, especially after his fight with Jan Blachowicz, who exposed some vulnerabilities on Pereira on the ground. Instead, we're getting Khalil Rountree, who's a striker. It feels like Pereira is dodging the tougher matchup, and it's like Pereira is touring with the fans about moving down to fight Dricus du Plessis, or jumping up to heavyweight. Like, bro, can you just stick around and give the fans what they want? At some points, it feels like he's playing musical chairs with the weight classes. And if I could be honest with you guys, stylistically, this fight looks like a setup for Pereira. Let's be real, it's basically a kickboxing match in MMA gloves. Khalil is a powerful striker, sure, but if he thinks he can just stand and trade with Pereira without attempting to grapple, it's like he's volunteering to be a punching bag, bro. No offense to Khalil, but if he doesn't mix things up and at least shoots for a takedown or a clinch, his chances of winning are as slim as my bank account after buying a UFC pay-per-view every weekend. Even Khalil's own coach suggests that Pereira might panic and shoot. But come on, are we really gonna see Alex Pereira turn into a wrestler overnight? It's like expecting a fish to start climbing trees. It's highly unlikely. Now, don't get me wrong, Khalil's Muay Thai is solid, no doubt about it, but there are levels to this game, and Pereira's striking is world class. This is the guy who took out Israel Adesanya and held his own against Jan Blachowicz, two of the best strikers in the sport. And don't forget, Khalil was getting pieced up by freaking Anthony Smith in his last fight. No disrespect to Smith, but if you're struggling with his striking, trying to go toe-to-toe with Pereira can end up being like a terrible idea. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. So you're probably asking, why is Pereira such a dangerous opponent? It's not just about his power, it's about his precision, his timing, and his setups. Pereira is a master at baiting his opponent into making a mistake, and that's what makes him such a lethal knockout artist. His strike accuracy is sitting around 60%, which, when combined with his knockout power, makes him terrifying. He doesn't just throw wild punches, he sets up traps, he uses feints, and creates angles that makes his shots nearly impossible to avoid. His ability to read his opponents and capitalize on the slightest mistake is what sets him apart from the rest. Now compare that to Khalil, who often leads with heavy power shots but without much of a setup. Khalil's strikes are powerful, but they're predictable. It's like he's walking into a sniper line of sight with a bazooka. Sure, it's powerful, but it's not nearly as precise. Also, Khalil lacks of head movement, making him an easy target for someone as technical and dangerous as Pereira. And look, man, part of why Khalil looks so dangerous is because he's been fighting guys who can't deal with his power and striking. When you go up against people who don't have the tools to challenge your strength, it makes you look like a killer. But the moment you face someone who's operating on a higher level like a Pereira, things change fast. It's like being the best player in a local pickup basketball game until an NBA player walks in. That's when you quickly realize where you really stand. And that's exactly what's going to happen if Khalil steps into the octagon with Pereira without switching up his approach. And look, man, Pereira's fought and beaten some of the best strikers in the world like Israel Adesanya and Jan Blachowicz. If Khalil thinks he's going to outstrike Pereira, he's in for a rude awakening. He's been dominating against lower level competition. But Pereira, this is a different ball game, man. Khalil's Muay Thai is good, sure. But Pereira's operating on an entirely different level. It's not just about brute force, it's about precision, setups, and angles. Pereira's striking is like a sniper bullet, clean, accurate, and deadly. On the other hand, Khalil's strikes might feel more like a shotgun blast, powerful but less refined. That's why unless Rountree completely changes his game plan, this fight is most likely going to end with Pereira adding another highlight reel knockout to his resume. And here's the thing about Khalil, he throws heavy bombs at you. No finesse, no real setups. I'm just being honest, it's not like there's a bunch of like crazy setups, flashy combinations, or clever feints going on. The dude just literally walks up to you and throws Hail Mary punches. His shots are telegraphed from a mile away. I mean, just look at his fight with Dustin Jacoby. Jacoby saw a bunch of bombs coming like he had a GPS tracking system. He stayed defensively sound, and let's face it, Khalil should have lost that fight. But here's the real problem. You can't swing and miss like that against someone like Alex Pereira. If you fight recklessly, throwing some wild shots and leaving openings, Alex is gonna make you pay. He'll put you to sleep without a second thought. The difference between the two is huge. Alex is consistently moving, creating angles, and he's not stationary just like how Khalil is. And honestly, Khalil's defense isn't the greatest either. Take his fight with Dustin Jacoby as an example again. He shelled up, letting Jacoby tee off on him with combinations. I mean, even Anthony Smith was landing clean jabs and straights on Khalil because he doesn't use head movement. In the end, if Khalil doesn't mix up some grappling or a completely different strategy, this fight will most likely play right into Pereira's hand. But hey, if he pulls off the upset, it'll go down as one of the wildest surprise we've ever seen in recent memory. But hey, my money's on Pereira taking this one. The only way I see Khalil winning this is if Pereira slips on a banana peel mid-fight. Now, the stakes in this fight are high, especially for Pereira. A win here is kind of like a filler episode in an anime. As long as he doesn't lose, he's still on track for a super fight next. I don't think he's going to face Ankalaev though. Instead, I see him either facing Tom Aspinall in the heavyweight division, or he's going to drop down to the middleweight division and face Dricus du Plessis next. But for Khalil, if he pulls this off, you know, it would be a huge upset and it would be a career-defining moment. Still, if Khalil fights the way he usually does, leading with the power shots and not mixing up his approach, it's hard to see him walking away with a victory. Ultimately, I think this fight will go like most of Alex Pereira's other fights. It'll probably start with a bit of back and forth, Khalil and Alex trading shots, feeling each other out. Khalil might land a few good shots early, as he always does, starting with a lot of aggressive energy, but eventually we all know what's coming. Alex is going to time it perfectly, find that opening, and boom, he'll unleash that signature left hand that puts so many people down. Once Khalil hits the canvas, I don't see him getting back up. Alex will swarm in, land a few more clean shots, and the ref will step in to stop it. TKO for Alex Pereira. Khalil is tough, no doubt about it, but Alex is just too sharp, too precise, and too powerful. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, that is. And like always guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.